Hello, now I'm going to talk about continuous integration. And the problem what continuous integration tries to address is that when you are building your code, basically you want to have short cycles where basically you always work with the most fresh code in the sense that you want to, or there's a big advantage when you are programming, you use the versions of the most recent versions of the code. Why? Because afterwards, when you are going to integrate your code back for your colleagues to work with it, it will be easier to integrate it if you have been actually doing the changes with the code that already exists. Okay, and of course, then it means that you also should have short tasks, short duration tasks that you can commit them frequently so that your colleagues can also work with your most recent code. So the idea basic is that while we are programming, you often do synchronize your code or just check out the code of your colleagues, and basically you keep integrating the code. So if you have short periods for this code integration, things will be much more smooth, the way of working. So but then the idea is that when you are going to when you are programming, you want to keep the quality of the code. You want to check the quality of the code, and the way you check the quality of your code, so in your private development, is by running tests, and then you do a lot of private builds of your system. So what is a private build? Is basically when you are programming and you run Maven clean test. Maven clean test, and basically you run your test and you see if everything is okay. And this is okay, and this is a private build. And what happens usually is that sometimes there are so many tests that you cannot just do Maven clean test for everything. You are going to do Maven clean tests for the tests that are relevant for the part you are implementing. So that's what is called a private build. But actually, when you decide to publish your code, you need to run more tests. So, and then you do a project build before you publish your code. Okay, this can even run in your machine, or when you do, for instance, a pull request, the system automatically run more tests and verify that everything okay. And actually, this relation between private build and project build depends on the amount of tests and the duration that the tasks take to run. Because even if, for instance, when you do a pull request, if these tests, for instance, take 1 week to execute, you're not going to do it this way. So you need to have a smaller set of tests that you run, and you say, well, okay, for a project build, you run tests that takes at most 15 minutes. Okay, so it depends on the project, depends on the duration, and of course, and what is relevant here is that the level of quality increases with the duration. So it means that your build tests verifies, your private build verifies a certain level of quality that is enough, but probably does not guarantee everything. Then you do a project build where you probably integrate more tests, and if the system is huge, then you do a nightly build, for instance. Okay, and in a nightly build you run all the tests, for instance, and then you verify the overall quality of the system and how your small contribution contributes to the overall quality of the system. So every project basically are going to define several types of builds. So I'm talking here about the private build and the project build, but you can have several in a spectrum of different quality assurance in terms of the amount of tests you're going to run. Okay, of course, in your project, your private build is equal to your project build because basically you run all the tests. Okay, maybe in a subgroup, maybe you can say that, okay, your private build is you just run the test related with your subgroup, but probably it doesn't take that long to run everything. But in a real project that things can take long to run, you're going to define and distinguish between different types of build, and each type of build ensures a level of quality of the system. Okay. So this is called basic continuous integration, and is a very common practice today. So that's why you should have short tasks with well-defined goals that you can accomplish in 2-3 hours. So that I would say that if the project runs smoothly, you can say that every 2 hours you have, when you check out the code, you can say that you have receiving the changes of tasks that start in the last 3-4 hours, okay, or that finish in the last 3-4 hours, okay. So that you keep this running this way, okay. So and then you have the idle build. You have systems that may take 1 week to compile and to test, to run the all tests. So look, in terms of quality, this can be very, very, very expensive in the sense that you run your code, and then your code goes to a build machine, and it takes 1 week to verify what is the level of disruption that your code introduces in the overall system. And this is not going to work, so that's why you divide this endeavor in different types of builds. Of course, at the end, once a week you run everything, you test everything, you test the complete system, but you hope that most of the you get feedback of your contribution much sooner, okay, much sooner running small sets of tests. Okay, that of course should be relevant for the level of quality that you want to achieve with that particular build.